Welcome to the Simply Joyful Podcast Live with my special guest, Brian Dixon. Get ready to be encouraged. Well, welcome, Brian, to the Simply Joyful Podcast Live. This is so fun to get to have you here.
See, thanks for having me. What a crazy time right now.
Holy smokes. It is totally wild. Yeah, who would have imagined? Oh, well, I am excited to have you coming on the show because you wrote this fabulous book called Start With Your People. And as we were joking beforehand, we could have retitled it Stuck With Your People. So we're going to be talking a little bit about relationships right now. So before we jump into all that, can you share a little bit about your family and what it is that you do?
Yes. Well, I'm a clarity coach. So I help female faith-based authors grow their impact and their income online. The way that I do that, we do Zoom calls, one-on-one coaching calls. I'm the co-founder of a membership community called Hope Writers. And then also when we have them, I speak at conferences and I help basically female bloggers get their message out in a bigger way.
Oh, I love that. And I noticed that you were supposed to be with Jennifer Allwood, I think, next week. And and I was going to be in Kansas City at the same time. And I was supposed to be speaking at a homeschool convention. It's like, oh, well.
I know. Everything's canceled. Yeah.
Everything is canceled.
It's a tremendous opportunity to serve even more people. You just have to kind of pivot. And I actually think our business is going to grow because I think people are all having to work from home. And so for those of us that have been working from home, especially homeschool families who have been doing this for a while, other people are looking at you and going, wait, how do you do that again? And like, they're actually paying attention.
Yeah, I know. It's been wild because I feel like people kind of knew, like my audience, she homeschools, but it was that moment when everyone's realizing, oh, she actually runs a business too. So wait, so how do you do this school at home and business thing? And it's like, let me help you. So I know I've been saying, I feel like I say all the time, I'm a welcome to my world, people. Everyone's here. Oh, well, Brian, I am so excited to talk to you because we were going to just talk about your book anyway, but I would love to kind of tweak a little bit about how we were going to share about your book. And, you wrote this beautiful book. Again, I'll show the picture here, Start With Your People. And it's about the daily decisions that change everything. Mm-hmm. And so how can we, since we're all at home with our people, how can we be using this time to kind of reset our priorities as far as our relationships?
I love it. The first thing that comes to mind, which I talk about a little bit in the book, is the concept of your spouse. And your spouse can be your superpower. She doesn't have to be your kryptonite, or your husband doesn't have to be your kryptonite. And I've found that this we're talking about, we're doing this in 2020 when everybody's quarantined at home right now, and or staying at home, at least, not allowed to go out on the trails, not allowed to even go out and do errands or go see a friend. Social distancing and all that's happening. And so what's happening is that relationship dynamic is being compounded even more. And so, for those that are like on the same page and everything's great, it's like, this is an amazing time. But for those that are really, see the world differently, which generally, your spouse sees the world a little differently than you, that's causing a lot of tension behind closed doors. And so I just want to encourage each of you that are married to lean into your spouse because, they can see something that you can't see, and they have a different perspective than you, and they don't have to be your kryptonite. They can be your superpower. And it's so important to get on the same page. So Julie, my wife, and I, we've been married almost 18 years this summer. She sees the situation different than I do. But what's really helped us is having just a daily check-in, just like, okay, what's the situation? There's a big news piece that comes out. Our county just did the shelter in place yesterday. And so after that came out, I finished my work day. Right. I finished my work day and went downstairs and I said, hey, I'd love to talk with you about this. That's where it starts. Hey, can we talk about this? So because she might be in the middle of something, because she's a mom and now a homeschool mom. And so she said, yeah, give me 5 minutes. So then we sat down and said, okay, so here's the situation right now. And here's what I think we need to do. And just slowing down, we were able to get on the same page. We decided, okay, here's our plan for food. here's our plan for our schedule. Here's anything we think we need to do, because they gave you like 48 hours notice before you had to be sheltered in place. So here's
Yes.
anything we need to do. How can we get these things done so we're not fussing at each other, but instead we're on the same team, same page.
No, that is so important right now, to really, especially in our family units, when we're just looking at our family units, is to start with your spouse. Like, because if you and your spouse, I always say that, like, the greatest blessing you can give your kids is a healthy marriage, and so to focus in on that relationship. And I will say that my husband retired about a year ago, and so it has been interesting bringing him into the conversations of my business. And here he was like this total savvy business finance man. And it's like, I had kind of like been doing my own little fun creative thing. And so it's been an interesting dynamic bringing him in, because he has totally different insight, and it's brilliant. And, you know, and there's sometimes where he doesn't understand certain nuances of what I do, but at the same time, it is really important to get on that same page, especially when, I think the biggest problem we're seeing right now is people panicking. And so we just need to, I love how you said, let's slow down, have the conversations, and keep calm. Now, in the face of everything that's happening, I mean, you do help people with their online businesses, and everyone's kind of starting to get some experience with online business. So how are you encouraging folks who are kind of finding themselves suddenly doing this or trying to do this whole thing online?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, first of all, I'd say, you know, just because you're new doesn't mean you have to figure it out all on your own. That there are people who have been doing this for a while. You and I have been doing this for a while, and there's a lot of people. I mean, I've been full-time online for 7 years now. I've 7 years of learning how to do this thing. You know, I've been using Zoom for at least 4 years, like multiple hours a day I'm on Zoom. And so, you know, just putting it out there, hey, if you have Zoom questions, I'm here to help you, because I do Zoom all of the time. And I think there's something about, just because it's new to us doesn't mean it's new to everyone. And so there are great resources out there. So I think being humble enough to ask for help, especially in this time, people are willing to help. So, you know, the one way that I like to ask that question is like, hey, is there any way that I can improve? Da 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 da. You know, like, so hey, is there any way I can improve? And I've built that culture with my team. So as an example, I said to my team the other day, I'm like, hey, is there any way that I can improve my podcast? And they said, you know what? The video version we get when we release the videos on social, they're like, your lighting's not that great. I'm like, oh, like, so that was on my to-do list. I was like, it literally said, fix your lighting. And then I did a little research. I watched a couple of YouTube videos, and I was like, oh, so I got one of those ring lights right here.
I'm all right here.
It completely changed my, I'll turn it off for a second. Like it changed my light log.
Too. But you got another one down below. But
that's what my lighting looked like before, which is not terrible, but just a little fix, a little tweak, and it made it better. And so that's the thing. Like, we each have something that can be improved if we just ask for feedback. And in the same way with your spouse, like, I've learned before I send that email, or before I sometimes respond to a client, if I just check in with Julie, I say, you know, this is how I'm feeling about the situation. I'm about to send this thing. Can you just look it over real quick? She'll find just a little bit of nuance, just a word or two that needs to be changed, or sometimes it's my attitude that needs to be changed. And then she prevents me from like ruining something on my own.
I'm like, yeah, we've all been there. That's where it is really good to have a second pair of eyes on things.
Yes. Oh, and your spouse knows you so well. Like, they see how you come across. You know, I've never actually seen myself. I've only seen a reflection of myself. But other people have seen me. Julie's seen me probably more than any other human has ever seen me. So she knows my strengths and my weaknesses. And if I'm humble enough to turn to her and to say, hey, is there a way I can make this a little better? She has ways. I just need to be humble enough to ask.
Oh, that's so important. Yeah. And in fact, you were saying about Zoom, it was so cute, because my husband's been doing a lot of Bible study. He actually helps lead 2 different Bible studies. And
love it.
It was so funny, because he's like, we were on a Zoom call and it was just chaos. And I'm like, tell everybody to mute their mic unless you're talking. So it's like little things like that people don't always understand the nuances, because there's so many great ways to use Zoom and to use all these other things that are available for us to be connecting, because it's really important when we're all kind of feel like, I'm an extrovert, but I'm also a homebody. So as much as my extrovertedness is like, I want to go see people, I want to go get outside, like I still am a homebody. So I'm content, but I know I'm unique in that. And so with so many people trying to connect online, do you have any like just little tips of how people just in their everyday life, whether they're, you know, normally a stay-at-home mom, or maybe they are someone who's working online, or just most of us, I have this kind of unsettled situation happening right now with a lot of people already have, you know, being shut-ins. We're all shut-ins right now. So how can we be using technology to be connecting with our people so that we're not just starting with our people, we're connecting with our people?
So good. Yeah. I mean, just today, you know, having an interview like we're doing right now. I was just on a summit an hour ago. I had a team call over Zoom. I'll do a Facebook Live. I'll post a couple times on TikTok and on Instagram, like just getting stuff out of your head and onto that screen, interacting with people. I found that, especially when I get discouraged, you know, as a creator, you can get really self-reflective of like, this isn't working. Or especially if you're trying to grow your business and you're like, you do a webinar, or you have a sales page, or you send an email and it doesn't quite connect the way you want it to. And the sales don't come in, or maybe the sales are lower than you thought they would be. It's really easy to get down in the dumps. And what I found is service is the answer. So asking, where are you stuck right now? Or when it comes to X, where are you stuck right now? Sending that to your email list or putting that on social media, and going and answering those questions. And if you don't have a platform right now, you don't have your own audience right now, pick somebody who you love, you know, that you already follow on Facebook, and either join their private Facebook group or go on their Facebook page and see what are the questions other people are asking. Go answer questions, because what's obvious to you is magic to other people. You know, there's something that you know how to do. Like you have those 10,000 hours of doing Zoom calls, or those 10,000 hours of being a homeschool mom, or those 10,000 hours of, you know, being a human and understanding.
We all have that one,
right? That some people don't understand. And if you don't have an audience, or you don't know whose audience to go help, even a website like Quora where people can ask questions, just going over there, looking through the categories and going, oh, I could go answer those questions. There's something that fills you up when you help other people get unstuck.
Oh, absolutely. I think this is the time when people, I mean, regardless of what everybody's doing, like we all do, like you said, we have like, it's like a little secret sauce. Like everybody's got their own little secret sauce and their little hidden superpowers. And people don't realize how much they do like really well. Cause I get told that all the time, like, well, I really want to start something, but you know, what do I do? There's already people talking about it out there. And yet you do something unique because God made you so creative. God made you unique like no one else. So, hey, there's a lot of people in the home organization world. That's my world. You know, there's a lot of people talking about homeschooling. That's also my world. But God made me unique in how he brought, you know, me together. And so it's so important for people to be encouraging others. Crafty moms and crafty dads, we need you right now, because people are running out of ideas. They're like, okay, especially here in California. And like, I know like the large cities that have been shut down for a while. I mean, this is our second week. Oh my goodness. Like, you know, it's like, okay, now we've done coloring, we've done painting, we've done all these things. Now what? But the same is true with business strategies, with all kinds of stuff, with meals. I mean, it's a whole different ball game right now.
Yeah. And what an opportunity. You know, inside of every challenge is the seed of a new opportunity. There are businesses that are going to be birthed out of this challenge right now. And however long we go through, and I'm not a pessimist. Maybe I'm a realist. I tend to be an optimist, but I'm looking at this. This is a long-term, world-changing, game-changing event. And depending on how people follow the protocols and that sort of thing, like I just believe that this is a World War level kind of a change to our culture for a very, very long time. And the sooner I listened to something by Andy Crouch the other day, and he talked about how we could see it as a snowstorm or as a blizzard or as an ice age. And And I was like, no, it was a snowstorm. It was winter or an ice age. And I'm like, that's so interesting. Like, is it just, oh, it's snowing outside, this is fun, snows once a year here in North Carolina? No, I think it's longer than that. It might be the beginning of
Mm.
winter, which is going to last for several months, or it might feel like an ice age where things have changed for a really long time. But assuming that things have changed and that how you're living right now is going to be true for the next 6 months, how would you pivot your business? How would you treat the people that are in your home right now? You
Yeah.
know, for us, we host a weekly Bible study at our house. Well, we can't do that, but Thursday, we have it Thursday nights. Today's Thursday. So we're doing a Zoom call, first time doing a Zoom call
Love
with
it.
all of our couples. And like, they have all the questions, like, can we use one computer? Do we need to have two computers? Should we be in the same room? Do we need to be in
Yes.
other rooms? Like, really basic questions. And like, this might be the beginning of us continuing to have some sort of video call as part of what we do at church. Our church is shut down. They're doing live stream stuff. And my business is, it's all online, but people are asking really beginner questions that they've never asked before, because I think they're scared. I think they're afraid. And for especially people of faith, like, we know whose we are. We know that where our hope is. We know what our future is. And so being
Hmm.
bold and serving well, like, I just don't think you could go wrong doing that.
No, there is nothing. I mean, like, again, serve. I love that. That is the heart of it. And you said something that I think was really dynamic, and that is because I'm all about like looking for the silver lining, staying positive. I mean,
Yeah,
I really hope that people are counting their blessings right now. But
that's right.
I am excited to see what happens with this totally crazy, unique situation that we're all at home. So we're all forced to work through family dynamics. We are
Right.
all forced to be intentional with relationships because like we have to maintain relationships. So whether it's on Zoom or some other, way that we're connecting,
Yep.
but it's also really interesting to see because we all, right. What's the one wish that everybody says? Oh, I just wish I had more time. Voila.
There you have it. You
We
got it
have
now.
time. And so what is exciting is like what businesses are going to be birthed? What new dynamics can we be bringing and what new ways can we be serving others? So
Yep.
it's going to be interesting. And this is very warlike. Like you said, I mean, we have companies. I was actually just saying that to Steve the other day
Yep.
that, when you think back to World War II and the stories we hear about,
Right.
Rivet, oh goodness,
Yeah. Rosie Riveter.
like, yeah, Rose. I'm like, what's her name?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rosie Riveter. Like, you've got people coming out and helping in ways they never dreamed of helping. You've got businesses completely changing over. I mean, car companies are going to be making ventilators.
Yeah.
And so that is what we are getting to see now is people coming together and serving and helping. And I'm loving the stories I'm seeing online.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing.
Yeah, there's so many things. The question that I try to ask myself on a daily basis, especially when it's like 4 o'clock and I got one more hour work, but I'm working at home and I hear the kids laughing outside and I'm like, I should just quit and just go outside and be with them. But my commitment is to work till 5. That's the way that we've structured my day. Is I look at that last hour and I say, what can I do in this last hour that the me a year from now will be excited that I did it.
Mm,
Like, be grateful that I did
yes.
that one thing. Like, what's the one thing I can do? And I think in the same way, like, don't waste this crisis. Don't, like, this is
Oh,
such
so
an
good.
amazing opportunity to lean into your marriage, to lean into investing in your kids. I talk about it in the book. Speak life-giving words. There's a lot of stress out there, consuming so much news where what's the death count in every state that's announced every day. Like, you could go dark, you could go in a
Yeah, really
deep
fast.
hole, right? But instead, I mean, I've been trying to say to my kids, um, 3 things, right? I love you, I'm proud of you, and you're good at. And the more
Mm,
specific, the better, right? So I love you because you're my child. I love you because you're my son. I'm proud of you because of, and generally it's because you overcame a challenge. So I'm proud of you because of the way you talked to your brother today. I'm proud of you because of the way that were nice to that person on that video call. My kids are doing video calls with their class. It's so funny.
I love it.
And then you're good at, like, I saw that you're getting really good at this one thing, speaking life. In the book I talk about life-giving words. We have an opportunity to use life-giving words in a way like never before. My wife shared this thing. It was like a Facebook post, and it said, in 30 years from now, where your grandchild, asks like, what was it like to live in 2020? And you describe the economic climate and how everybody was afraid and everything. And then your child, their son, your grandchild's son or father or mother corrects you and says, wait a second, that's not how I remember it. I remember that we set up tents inside our house and we cooked s'mores on the oven, and we stayed up late and watched movies, and it was the best time in my life. Like, you have a chance to kind of flip the script and to look at the opportunity instead of the challenge right now.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much for taking time. That was incredible. And you, as you said, that's referred to in your book. So where can people connect with you and find your book?
Oh yeah. Well, Instagram's probably the best place. Just send me a message on Instagram. You find me there, Brian J. Dixon, and send me a message. I'd love to hear what's the one action you're going to try as a result of our conversation today. So send me that personal message. I love getting those personal messages. I promise I'll respond to you. We can continue the conversation. And then the book is available on Audible. I read it. And so audiobook for those busy moms out there, put your headphone in and listen to it on the go, or, obviously the hardcover, the Kindle version's available on Amazon.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for taking time to be with us today, Brian, and kind of tweaking how we're having a conversation around your book to really help people with practical advice. So I cannot thank you enough for coming on the show today.
Thanks, Christy.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Simply Joyful podcast. Be sure to check out all the episodes available from the podcast by going to simplyjoyfulpodcast.com. Also, be sure to subscribe here on YouTube so you don't miss all of the other videos that we have coming your way. Have a great rest of your week, and don't forget to live simply and be joyful.